Stippling and pointillism are two similar techniques that artists use to achieve value in their drawings. However, rather than using a pencil to shade in, they use tiny dots to create their values. Closer together dots create darker values, while dots that are spaced further apart create lighter values. Stippling is all about using one color, whereas pointillism is about using multiple colors, but it's the same technique again of using multiple dots to achieve your values. Let's begin practicing with stippling. We're going to create a grayscale very similar to the way we did using our pencil. However, now we're going to use dots to achieve those values. In your first box closest to the left, you're going to create several dots that are fairly spaced apart. Then in your second box, you're going to increase the number of dots and make them a little bit closer together. Continue on until you get to the other side of your value scale, always increasing your dots and spacing them a little bit closer together. Because we are stippling here, you want to stick to the same color throughout your entire grayscale. Do not mix any other colors in, keep it pure with the same color all throughout. Also, if you have a few dots that are overlapping or touching, it's perfectly okay. This is normal in stippling. Now let's move on to pointillism. We're actually going to start the same way, recreating that same stippling grayscale using one color. Again, in your first box, only have a few dots and space them far away. Then as you move on, increase the number of dots and also make sure that they get a little bit closer together. Notice the way I'm applying the dots. My hand is resting on the table and I'm going through and I'm lightly tapping my marker down. You don't want to be stabbing at your paper because that will hurt your marker and also will lead to stray marks all over your paper. Once you have that base color down, we're going to take its complementary color, so in this case blue, and we're going to go through, we're going to add more dots. So in the box closest to the right, again we're going to add lots and lots of dots, space them close together, and as you work your way towards the left now, you're going to decrease the number of dots until you get lighter and lighter and lighter. Once that's done, go ahead and keep adding more colors. You can pick a few more dark colors. You could even add in some lighter colors than what you have for your base. I'm going to start with a purple here, and again, just like I did my blue, have lots of dots towards the right, and then space them out further apart as I go towards the left. The general rule in pointillism is to stay away from black. So while you can add many colors here, try to stay away from using the color black. Now let's apply one of those techniques towards shading in our apple, just like the one on the left. I'm going to try some pointillism here, so I'll start with my base color, in this case a red. If you look at your apple on the left, you'll see that your light source is coming in from the right side. So keeping that in mind, towards the right side, I'm going to keep my dots a little bit further spaced apart, and then my dots towards the left side, I'm going to place them a little bit closer together. Once I have that base color down, I'm going to go through and add some more darker values by adding the complement of my red. So I'll take my green, and again towards the left side, I'm going to add dots that are closer together to achieve those dark values. And I'm still going to add a few over on the left side, but not as many, and they are going to be more spaced apart. Once my green is done, I'm now going to take my highlight here, a simple yellow, and go through and lighten up some of those areas in the highlight areas, still keeping them fairly spaced apart, but also I'm going to go into my darker values and add dots that are closer together. This technique of pointillism is actually the same exact technique that your printer uses to print off your colored pictures. You may notice whenever you replace an ink cartridge on your printer, there are only 3 main colors, and those are your primary colors. What the printer does is prints in tiny little dots, and if you have something that you're printing off that's green, it'll just take yellow and blue dots and place them really close to each other. So that way when you get your picture off the printer, your eye will blend those 2 colors together to create your green. And there's your stippling and pointillism.